Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there. Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there. Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there. Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you in. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there. Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there. Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there. Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there. Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there. Just say run. Just say run. Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there. Just say run. Just say run. Just say run. Just say run, and I will follow you anywhere. And you have my heart, even when I am not there.
Welcome back to the W1 Sim Series.
What is going to be a cutthroat championship clash.
20 cars line up under the lights. 4 and 5 red lights.
We welcome you to W1. Wheel to wheel, heading through lane car. They're going to go side by side, coming in towards Baggins and Beckett. Who's bravest? Fantastic move from Cheryl Bucknell. But it's not over yet. The house comes back at her. We fought a big crash though. And she leads, she crashes, she's round.
What a hard-fought victory that was. That is just spectacular.
But your drivers champion W1 Sim Series. What a season they have had.
Well, a very good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to wherever you may be in the world, and welcome back to the W1 Sim Series. After a chaotic trip to the Canadian hillside, we head to some fantastic racing that could only be prescribed inside of F1 25. We're taking the 2026 regulations to Imola, everybody. It is going to be fantastic, and what a race we've got in our hands. My name's Tom Knight. A pleasure to be in this commentary box as usual, and even more so to be joined by this absolute beautiful man of a specimen. It is Carl Peranic to my left-hand side. Carl, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad we've got Imola today. I'm so excited to have it back. There's going to be all kinds of challenges posed to the drivers. We'll tick them off in all good time, but it's just so good. It's so good to have Imola on the calendar, isn't it?
It really is. And as we said earlier, it is the only time that we are going to see these regulations of cars racing on this circuit, at least for the foreseeable future. And it is going to open up, I think, a lot of opportunities to see some fantastic racing.
I couldn't agree more with you. And like I say, whereas Canada was more about the claustrophobia of the track, Imola, there isn't that much of that problem, but there are many, many myriads of challenges that are posed in a completely different light. Battery management, curb slaughterage, meaning track limits penalties are going to be definitely accrued today. But it's a very different dynamic going into Imola. Despite how open it is, you can be caught out very quickly.
Imola's a really weird double entendre when it comes to a circuit because it is very open. You have a lot of runoff. But actually on the flip side, the circuit itself is rather narrow as you make your way through the opening few corners of Villeneuve and Tamburello. That is where we're going to see drivers maybe try and go too wide and not necessarily come out on top. And interesting thing, obviously, we mentioned about Imola being one of those circuits that hasn't translated across to the real life sort of calendar in 2026. So as we go ahead, we'll have a look at our track map first and foremost. The same standard does apply. There's still 19 corners over this circuit, which encompasses just over 3 miles. But there are not 1, not 2, but 3 active aero zones, with one bonus one being added on the run down towards turn 17 and 18, the Ravazza. So as you come out of Variante Alta, that is going to be an additional bonus run for a lot of our drivers to be able to use that straight line mode.
Yeah, and a boatload of boost mode to be deployed by the same token as well. The main thing is, as you look at this track map, glorious, historic layout. That is the Emilia-Romagna Pirelli Pizza. God knows how many names it has. But the point is, there is a lot of intricacies to the Imola track. Tamburello, that first chicane, you have all of that boost to use. The main priority that the driver's going to have to do today is save up for that start-finish straight, because if anyone is caught lacking on the battery department, they're going to be caught out very, very quickly indeed. So, be an interesting dynamic to see, particularly if someone's at the head of the train. It could be very easy to be caught out from behind.
Absolutely. It's a long run down towards what is essentially turn 1 at Imola, but legally, for legal reasons, it is turn 2 as you make your way in towards Tamburello. And most notably, I think the heaviest point of the circuit always has been and always will be Acqua Minerale, the point where you just drop off the face of the earth down into the ravine and basically straight back up again towards that final chicane. So that is one where drivers will really have to look out for, and of course probably a good opportunity to get some lift and coast in. But until we just head into qualifying, we are literally a few seconds away, shall we run through our lineups for this evening's endeavours?
That we shall. First of all, the left-hand side, you have Ferrari, Sonna Nutrix, and Emma Clay, who is chasing the Drivers' Championship lead. She's only 2 points off the top. Race winner last time out in Canada. Alexis Mason and reserving Charlotte Perkins are in the Silver Arrows cars, with Rustic Regan Boylan and Jazz Luna donning the Audi Aura. Hevar and Lauren Nodding are in the Williams, with Sarah Hardy and Madge Kocic reserving for the Alpine team. And then you have Vanessa Hostetler and Angel Kirby in the Haas.
You absolutely do. Apologies for the shock and horror on my face. We'll reveal that in a couple of moments. But Lee Woodward and Willow Keeble, the reservist stepping in for Miyuki Panda this afternoon. It's Lily Browning that takes the place of Jessica Ball alongside Lainey Milligan for the Red Bull Racing outfits. It's unchanged at Visa Cash at Racing Bulls, with Catherine Omerod and Carlotta Markey taking up her home race for this evening. Esme Chambers is unencumbered by herself in the Aston Martins, and Zara Shahsavari and Catherine Thielking are working alongside one another as they head for Team Cadillac. Now, Carl, before we got this show started, I'd mentioned that the rules have slightly adjusted now that we're aware that wet weather can be raceable, shall we say. There's no longer the glitch where some people get overtake mode and some don't. I might have jinxed this a little bit, because it's very wet.
Oh, okay. Oh, this just got interesting. First wet qualifying then, Season 2. First dose of wet weather has been sprinkled upon the Imola layout. What a time. What a time to be alive, ladies and gentlemen. And now it's transformed itself from all-out attack into still all-out attack. It's rubbish. But the point is, it's in completely different conditions now, and apparently the weather's going to clear up quite quickly, so they can get acclimatized. But really, it's all a bit of a fad, because soon enough they're going to strap the slicks on and go all guns blazing.
It's going to be interesting, and the first driver out of the paddock is Ace of Hearts. That's Esme Chambers, who will be the first to make their way out of pit road. Apparently, none of my graphics are working, which is fun. We'll have to try and solve that midway. Oh, I know why. Hold on, you have to bear with me after the race. But it will be Esme Chambers that is the first driver to get themselves ready to go for a lap here as they make their way down towards Ravazza.
Indeed they do. Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2. And with tradition in W1 Season 2, it's Esme Chambers that's going to take us for a first lap of all-out attack at Imola. Not only that, but in intermediate conditions as well. So, Here goes Esme Chambers behind a blanket of menus, but they're going to go through turn number 1, so we're not missing much anyway. No, well, there is straight line mode, but it's only that front wing. The rear wing stays completely closed, just for a bit of security and stability. But up to Tamburello for the very first time. Brake at the outside curb. Now it's all about attacking those curbs, getting a bit loose on the rear end, not quite attacking the curbs with much zest, but Esme Chambers keeping it clean. That's the crucial element as well. You can just try and attack the curbs as much as possible, but it's only so good if you get a clean lap on the board, and many people will be caught out by that. Boatload of understeer into Ravazza, not Ravazza, Tosa. A kayak would be substantially better in these conditions, but regardless, the green machine powers on.
Certainly does indeed. It will be the McLaren. That's going to be Lee Woodward setting a purple first sector of 28.384. Literally 1,000ths of a second quicker than Esme Chambers in the opening sector. They make their way through Aqua Minerale, turns 11, 12 and 13, and a swift run up the hill where they will get the opportunity to open that straight line mode of the exit of Variante Alta through turns 14 and 15. A little bit of a slide for the Aston Martin, but you will see that front wing open as opposed to both when we're under wet weather conditions. As they crest over the top of the hill, you should just be able to see it there. The lie flat front wing on that Aston Martin racing car.
Looks like they're completely backed off as well. Don't blame them. If anything, the precipitation just becoming a little bit lesser. Lee Woodward, reigning champion in the McLaren. Let's see what they can put down as the beautiful benchmark. Through the final corner, just about keeping it on the road. A 31.1 is not representative. Lee Woodward crosses the line at 28.9. In the intermediate conditions, that's much more like it.
Alexis Mason immediately sailing that away, a 127.817 for the Mercedes Alfa. You've got to keep an eye as well on Emma Clay, who is going fastest in the first sector. Angel Kirby goes fastest on board, and now Catherine Thielking goes fastest as well. The Cadillac has time stands to the top of the timing tower, but what can Clay do? Can they try and unsettle them? They'll open up the straight line mode as they round through the final corner, come towards the line. No, it's only third fastest for Emma Clay, just less than 100th of a second off Angel Kirby's time. But as it stands, a fantastic drive from Catherine Thielking, over a second quicker than anybody else.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. A titanic margin set by Catherine Thielking. 1.2 seconds quicker than anybody else in the intermediate conditions, and whether it dries up towards the end or not, that is a driver that has immediately activated the afterburners at the Imola track. Fantastic stuff from the championship leader by only 2 points, but it's the championship lead nonetheless. Where does Miss Nutrix and Co. lie on this leaderboard, though? We have an Alpine crossing the line. I believe that'll be if Sarah Hardy goes to 6th place. An Audi going into the pit lane. We have a Ferrari crossing the line. I believe Sonnet with not a representative lap time. And then another name goes up there. That's a representative time from Esme Chambers. But then Lee Woodward crosses the line, and if that isn't an indication that the track is reaching an improvement stage, that the drivers are finding confidence, I don't know what is. Half a second quicker, and we'll see those times tremendously tumble.
We absolutely will. Carlotta Marchi in our home Grand Prix, rounding round the final corners, and it comes through Ravazza nice and smoothly. Gets the opportunity to open up that front wing. A little bit delayed on there, but up towards the line nonetheless. Goes 14th fastest. And again, probably not the time that she was hoping to set so far. The rain is stopping in the next 2 or 3 minutes, so we will see it dry up. We saw that weather forecast at the top of your screens. It is light rain at the moment. And as we head in the next 5 or 10 minutes, it is heading to overcast. I don't think we'll quite get to light cloud, where it will, of course, make the track just a little bit better for our drivers. But nonetheless, we've got 4, maybe make that 5 drivers who are yet to set lap times and or make it out of the pits. They are Lily Browning, Charlotte Perkins, Jazz Luna, Maj, and of course Vanessa Hostetler. That's Stark Loki down in 20th place at the moment. So lots to really look forward to. There is lots of times about to hit this leaderboard, and I think a lot of them, Carl, might be waiting for this rain to subside.
Exactly, yeah, just waiting for the track to be at its more optimal, shall we say. Nearly halfway through this qualifying session already. As Curious Fire is improving by nearly 2 seconds. Not bad going. In fact, I think has improved by 2 seconds on the previous lap. In P12 at the moment. Just getting to grips with the track. Doesn't matter the conditions as long as you acclimatise to it, or as HTCP puts it, acclimatise. Well done. Alexis Mason goes fastest. All a bit futile because it's going to dry up, but regardless, it is at the top of the tree for the time being, as Lily Browning, who is one of the drivers waiting for these weather conditions to better themselves. It says here, I see a ferret has followed, so Penguin Victoria has got some friends in the animal kingdom.
I don't know how to respond to that. Genuinely, I'm at a baffle. There, it's just, sure. Hello, ferret. Welcome in. If you know, you know. Tom Scott has said hello to one ferret today. If you don't get that reference, go watch Tom Scott when he said hello to a load of ferrets that are being trained to run cables underground. Really interesting watch, actually. But Lily Browning now making her way out of pit road and through the opening few chicanes and down towards Tosa for their first lap. And you can see on the the dry compound of tyres. Now, we'll pull them up on your screens just to keep everybody informed as of what tyre everybody's opting to run. We've got 4, make that 5 drivers at the moment that are opting for the dry compounds. The only one of them, though, out on pit road at the moment.
Yes, we'll see that straight line mode soon reactivate itself. Both wings will be opened up. Then it can be all about the aggression. That's not the optimal line to take into Piratella, but that's mostly because Cadillac is on a flying lap. I believe that will be Catherine Thielking, actually, who's on an outlap. On another set of intermediate tyres. Interesting move. We'll see if it pays off. As the track becomes drier and drier, the grip increases exponentially. And now it all becomes about the perfect crossover point as Esme Chambers goes fastest on a 25.0. Clear indication that the track is improving, and quite a lot at that. And there's your race control message. Straight line mode is activated. There's ever a time to get slick rubber on your car. Now's the perfect opportunity.
Absolutely. It's not going to be beneficial to go on the intermediates because we know how quick that track is going to dry up. It's stopped raining completely. The race controller deemed it to be safe enough to run complete straight line mode, but additionally being able to use overtaking the battery properly again. Purple first sector for the Mercedes of Charlotte Perkins, purple second sector for the Mercedes of Alexis Mason so far. So both of those drivers finding good improvements in their respective sectors. I expect Alexis to go fastest in the second sector as well, but we will keep an eye on Charlotte Perkins at the moment. Still yet to set a lap time on the board and still running on a set of the intermediate compound of tyres. Through the second Ravazza there will run and up towards turns 19. Gets both wings open now. The first occasion we've seen that on broadcast, and they do go fastest, a 1:24.899. So now, Carl, our predictions have to guess to what's provisional pole going to be?
That is the big question, isn't it? If it was an optimal dry session, we'd say something like a high 1 minute 14, definitely in the 1 minute 14s, is what we would expect to see. As the track improves, though, will it reach that optimal grip as Alexis Mason blows the Perla from Perkins out of the water by 1.5 seconds? What I'm interested in is this, though. Lily Browning, the first driver on track to brave it out on the slick tyres, goes and absolutely obliterates the polystyrene board. What did that ever do to you? But through the final 2 corners, the Ravazza corners, Ravazza 1, slam on the anchors before the 50-metre board. Don't extend too much on the exit, neither on Ravazza 2. It's not going to be a pole position lap. It doesn't look like it, but it is relatively close. Into second place goes Lily Browning. The track not quite there yet, but plenty of pace to find as Vanessa Hostetler will be the second one to pull the slick tyre trigger.
Purple in the first sector is Vanessa Hostetler, so finding time where the slick tyres are really starting to grip up here at Imola. Makes her way and actually validates the exit of Varianti Alta. Sorry, not Varianti Alta, as they make their way through Piratella. I'm completely lost. No, that was Varianti Alta. I've got my track map upside down compared to the game, so that's why I might be struggling a little bit. It's all a bit confusing, Carl. It's an evening on a Thursday. It's warm again. Although not as warm as when you boys were doing this last week, which I'm ever so thankful for. If Tom, if you're watching, I love you and I owe you many, many beers when I next see you for stepping in at short notice to cover when I'm not here. But whilst we've got just under 7 minutes left on our qualifying clock, why don't you, our audience, let us know who you think is going to take pole position here today? Because I guarantee I have no idea. It's going to chop and change really quickly. There is no rain now expected for the rest of this qualifying session. But as we make our way through, I reckon anybody has a shot at taking this.
Literally going to be, I think, whoever last crosses the line out of the big heavy hitters will keep a very, very keen eye. Watch the board like a hawk on the left-hand side to see who is last to cross the line, because the track will be at its absolute best. There's the soft tyres coming through as Lainey Milligan swims and sculls to pole position provisionally with a 1:21. 1:08.9. Lee Woodward is 5 seconds up on their current fastest time and going to go even faster than that. We're going to break past the 1:20 barricade with our Season 1 champion, the McLaren Maestro, who I coined that phrase with too many times, but the point is they're very good at what they do, and a 17.3 is all the indication you could ever need. Emma Clay's not too far behind, though.
She's not at all. Can we appreciate Heather up to third place as it stands in the timing tower? Of course, we are expecting that to maybe be beaten. Madge goes second fastest. Now Charlotte Perkins takes away third. Here comes Vanessa Hostetler to go third as well. Here comes Emma Clay, though. She goes fastest, a 1:17.079. Clay back on top of your provisional pole standings.
The best thing is the track's not even at its best yet. A 17.0. It's just, I mean, it's a drop of blood in the water. Catherine Thielking can sense that opportunity and is going to get a slipstream from their teammate, whether intentional or not. Zara does just move out of the way at the last minute. So where does Catherine stack up in this? A 16.8. The times are flooding in thick and fast, and we have 5 minutes for the track to continue to reach its peak of performance, for the drivers to find the peak of their confidence. As clattering over the curbs goes the Cadillac. Regan Boylan currently in 6th place on an 18.3. Great lap from the Audi driver.
Fantastic lap from them so far. That's exactly what you want to see. I think that was Vanessa Hostetler as well, just going off as they made their way through Piratella Corner. A really treacherous one to try and get right. Gravel on all and every single one of their Pirelli tyres. But as you said, rightly so. 4.5 minutes left in qualifying. Lots of time for our drivers to try and improve as they make their way through the 19 corners that Imola are going to throw at it. And I guarantee Catherine Thielking has not secured pole position yet, because there are going to be drivers that have got little tricks up their sleeves. I want to go back, though, and have a look at this moment where it just went a little bit wrong. I believe this is for Lily Browning, who was purple in the second sector.
Yeah, through the Variante Alta, gets the first curb fine. I think just washes out too wide, and yes, hits the gravel on the exit. Doesn't invalidate, of course. No real need to do so. She was down on her time anyway as a result of that, so there was no need to pull the red track situation. As Steel King nearly clatters into an Alpine into the pit lane. No harm done. Speaking of someone who's having a blinder of a quali as well, Ferrari, 2nd and 5th. Miss Nutrix continuing the fabulous form from Canada. Got 5th place in that race. Has unbelievable race pace. Has gone from strength to strength. Super proud of how she's doing so far this season. Carlotta Marchi in P7 at her home track. It's all the feel-good stories in Imola qualifying.
Absolutely fantastic so far from each and every one of our drivers. Zara Shasavari up to 10th place here on circuits. They make their way through. I believe this is going to be a cool... No, it looks like a push up. They're burning some battery, so maybe had to go again for at least another opportunity. But they'll rise up towards the top of Piratella. A good opportunity to try and save some battery, especially as you dive down into Aqua Minerale, turns 11, 12 and 13. Well, watch on board. You can see the inputs on your screen as Charlotte Perkins unfortunately does leave the session, but a good bit of lift and coast there to recharge some of the battery, reaching over 260 kilometers an hour in towards Variante Alta, then attacking the curbs, does so rather well. Beautifully well positioned car, must I say, and now the charge down towards Ravazza will be on for the Cadillac.
Yeah, the execution of that chicane, Variante Alta. Take a bow, Zara Shasavari, but maybe don't yet, because you've still got 2 corners left to go. Ravazza 1, Ravazza 2. Pinch the curb on the inside. Car rotates just enough, and with the added understeer, it will propel you towards the pit lane and not start-finish line, but it looked like she kind of backed out of it through Piratella. Lily Browning, for a moment, the track flashed purple on the bottom right, which will have absolutely dangled the golden carrot of opportunity, but we'll see what the actual time does reflect. Through the final 2 corners goes the Red Bull driver. Ravazza 1, Ravazza 2. Check off the list. Will it be a personal best as well to check that off? So nice. Do the ticks thrice. Ooh. Yes, it is. 5th place for Lily Browning. And again, the track getting better and better. It literally will be last one to start their lap has a phenomenal chance of pole position.
That is what it's going to be. It will come down to that. I'm almost certain of that fact. And it's something we see so many times before. The track temperature at the moment, 29 degrees. It's a lovely 21 in the air, which I must admit, if you're a fan watching this Grand Prix, will be an absolutely joyous thing to hear over that crowd and over the radio. We watch here, Catherine Omar throwing that car in towards the Villeneuve chicane and down towards Tosa. That Visa Cash App Racing Ball looks planted.
Ormerod as well in round 1 was a qualifying queen. She absolutely smashed it out of the park. Straight line mode activated as she heads through the Piratella corner. Don't exceed the track limits. She absolutely hasn't. That is clinical execution from the RB driver. The Fury from Faenza at what is RB's home track, technically speaking, as Angel Kirby goes fastest for the time being, only by a few tenths, but those times are going to tumble.
They are indeed. We'll keep an eye on Omerod here as they make their way down towards the two Rivazzas. They've got a McLaren just in front of them. That might be Lee Woodward, who pulls out of the way, rightly so. And the V-Carb still manages to take the normal line. They'll have the opportunity to open up the straight line mode down towards the line. It was a personal best in the first, a personal best in the second so far for Omerod. Can she improve? She can. She goes third fastest. Keep an eye, though, on 10th place. That's Regan Boylan, who's got purple in the first sector. Personal best in the second as well. Can the Audi driver try and take it to the top step? They'll come round the final corner. Oh, so close for Regan Boylan. They'll go second fastest. It's a 1:16.668.
The lap heaven sent for the Audi driver. But Theo King's out there on a lap. Emma Clay is out there on a lap. She's gone 8 tenths faster in just the first sector. Theo King's gone a second faster on her lap currently, but she's invalidated. Crucially, how much time's left in the session? Do they have a reprieve? We can't tell because car's going slowly. 3 seconds, that's it. Theo King won't improve. That's the end of her qualifying session. Emma Clay surely has a surefire run to pole, and that was an immaculate Variante Alta.
Purple in the first and purple in the second. Immediately taken away from Lee Woodward, though, as they make their way through. Alexis Mason goes fastest, a 1:16.319, but keep an eye on this person. Emma Clay up towards the line. Esme Chambers into the 15s. Emma Clay, low 15s, goes fastest, and so far is on provisional pole position. Lee Woodward just behind them, up towards the line, can't go faster, will stay second fastest, and unless anybody has an ace up their sleeve, Emma Clay will be on pole position.
A 9th. Heather goes up to 9th place. She's firmly nestled into the top 10. Excellent from Heather, who is burning bright in qualifying. Miss Nutrix, probably the final driver to set a lap time. With the Fury from Ferrari, first place. What can she do? So close to invalidating, using every single millimetre of track. 9th place awarded to the second Ferrari, demotes Heather down to 10th. But wow, at Ferrari's home track, Emma Clay didn't have the easiest run to victory last time out, but that is a superlative lap.
What a qualifying. Absolutely what a qualifying. I know I say this so many times because each and every week these women come out here and absolutely blow me away in the commentary box. But this has been absolutely spectacular. What was starting as a wet qualifying, it dried up and everybody just took it in their stride. We saw fastest lap after fastest lap. Emma Clay right at the death, stealing away a lap from what could have been from Catherine Thielking should they have not invalidated. Purple in the first and the third for Clay. It was Lee Woodward that stole the middle sector in terms of purples, but this is how your grid will line up with the exception of 2 things. And we'll run you through them in the next few moments. But it's Clay from Woodward, from Chambers, from Mason as your top 4 here this afternoon. Angel Kirby will start 5th with Boylan in a career best in 6th. It's Theo King, Omerod, Nutrix and Hevar who line up within the top 10. And then Sarah Hardy, Madge, Lily Browning, Jazz Luna, Carlotta Markey, Lauren Noddy, Vanessa Hostella, Zara Shasavari, Charlotte Perkins and Lainey Milligan that line out your grid for this afternoon's racing here at Imola. We are in for a treat, I promise you that.
We really are. That's a hell of a session. Wow. Give him hell, kid. Emma Clay, fair play to you. 15-1, ever so close to getting into those high 14s. That was an amazing lap. Lee Woodward as well with a great lap, I will say. Some surprises in that qualifying session, though. We said track limits were going to rear their head. People being too opportunistic, overzealous with the curbs. But it happened to the championship leader. Theo King starts in 7th. And on a track where it's not that easy to overtake, that could really affect their plans for a race win today.
It really could. There's a lot to look out for. Of course, 32 laps around Imola is what we've got coming your way in the next few moments. And if you predicted Emma Clay to take pole position. Well, congratulations. What a fantastic return that you would have had here today. And the two minor adjustments that we spoke about, a couple of grid drops were handed out from the stewards in last week's race from Canada. I'll be honest, the only thing it's affected, is Charlotte Perkins and Lainey Milligan swap 19th and 20th respectively. So no major changes up and down the grid, as I have got cars crashing left, right and centre in my ears as the lobby reset happens in the background. So Carl, I'll let you waffle for a bit whilst I'm being deafened by some engines.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? Whilst we're here, should we look at the track in any case? Should we get a flavour of what race trim is going to look like? The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen. Ever an historic venue. Got so many historic seasons, historic races, historic race winners for that matter. And of course, was in the Formula 1 calendar as recently as last year. It's such a shame it's not on the actual calendar, but we still get to enjoy it. 3 straight line zones, 19 corners, a big impetus on 2 key things. First of all, battery management. You've got to save it all for that start-finish straight. Otherwise, in race conditions, you are a sitting duck. The other thing by extension is those curbs. We already saw it in qualifying, but many drivers are going to pick up those track limits penalties, particularly if you think of the corners themselves. Tamburello, turns 1 and 2, you can obliterate those curbs. Villeneuve chicane, the same. Obliterate the curbs. Aquaminirale, you can sweep out too far. Try and use too much of the track to open out the corner. That will get you a warning and a ticking off from the stewards. Variante Alta, and if you thought that wasn't enough, you've got to be careful of the outer limits of the Rivazzas. You're trying to extend the track. Imola gives you that freedom, but if you take too much of that freedom, you're going to pay a heavy price.
You absolutely are. Lots to look forward to as we head in towards the race, and thankfully those engines have disappeared in my head. We've had someone in the chat, in the Twitch chat, say, why not drive real cars? I promise you, if all of the drivers on this grid were given the opportunity to drive them, they would jump at it. So if anyone was watching that has enough money to maybe start a feeder series, hey, hit us up. We'll try and take that some money off your hands. Before we get into the race though, Carl, let's go ahead and have a look at our calendar for this season. Let's have a reminder of where we are heading over the course of these 10 weeks, with, of course, a couple of break weeks. So next week, let's start where we've been. We've headed to Silverstone for the season opener, which was absolutely picture perfect. We then headed to the Canadian waters, where we saw the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve play host to a fantastic Grand Prix. And today we headed to Imola, where we've got this race coming up in the next few moments. Now, worry not. Next week is a break week. Everybody gets a chance to chill, relax, enjoy the weather if it's still nice next week, have a drink maybe at a usual time on a Thursday afternoon before heading for a 4-round bonanza. It's a Spanish doubleheader, followed by an American doubleheader. We head to Barcelona and Madrid, followed by Cota and Las Vegas. 4 fantastic tracks that make up our middle segment to the season, before another break week as we crest in towards September and the final run of 3 weeks for this calendar. We head to the Netherlands before heading slightly higher in altitude to Mexico and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to finish everything off on September 17th. There is going to be some fantastic racing on every single circuit. Drivers are going to have to get used to these circuits in the brand new regulations, and I guarantee you, you do not want to miss it, do they, Carl?
Absolutely not. And you know what? 2 double headers. I too would need a bit of a detox, hence why we've installed it in. We're very caring like that in W1. Jay Matthews has chimed in the chat. Hello, Jay Matthews. He says, Clay to win. Ooh. It's not a bad prediction, to be fair. She's got 2 pole positions in the pocket, and by a comfortable margin as well. Has clearly got some cutthroat race pace. Hopefully, it's a bit more prepared than Canada. When we spoke to her last week, she felt like her preparation wasn't quite there. She felt like she had to hold back just to make sure she didn't get the penalties, more played it for safety in the end. This week, hopefully she's feeling a bit more prepared and has that confidence, because we saw it in Silverstone. Yes, the disconnection was annoying, but when she has that confidence, Emma Clay, in this set of regulations, cannot be stopped.
We saw it in Japan last season as well, where it was just an absolutely stellar drive from start to finish. There was nothing stopping that woman. And today, I think we could see a repeat if she manages to get off the line scot-free and avoid penalties as well, because that is going to be another massive talking point with the sheer number of chicanes that are present at this circuit. We've also had people coming in the chat saying Madge to win, which would be lovely to see. I'd love to see a debutant win from someone here today. If anyone's going to do it anywhere, I think Imola could be a fantastic circuit to do it at. We've also said Clay's going to be winning this race from 20 seconds. This could be interesting if she manages to pull away. And Jess Games as well, joining us from Silverstone, which we hope is going rather well. I think you said it was earlier in the chat, saying, I'm hoping Regan does well tonight, as she's been showing some form. Well, she had a fantastic qualifying, of course. Was up in P2 for a few moments. And, you know, if she manages to do well, it could be the night. But she's had no practice. She's been away all week. And I've been told she's had probably less than an hour's practice to get ready for this Grand Prix.
Which makes the P6 even more remarkable, in my opinion. That's honestly, Regan Boylan, we need to have this discussion. Her progress has been astonishing. Like, it has been really astonishing. I hark back to season 1 where we saw her in her very first race to where we are now. The curve, I'm not going to go into statistics because that's just annoying. But the point is, that curve has gone like that. Yeah. It's crazy the progress that she's made, which is immaculate. And it's exactly what we like to see in W1. This journey, this progression, no matter what kind of point you start from, it's that willingness to learn, the willingness to improve, to uplift others. And I can hardly exemplify it more than Regan, who's done excellently at the start of this season.
Absolutely has, and I'm sure will continue to grow as the season and the series goes on, because Season 2 will not be the last one of W1, I assure you of that, because I guarantee we'll probably have more sign-ups than we know what to deal with. And speaking of sign-ups, I know we're thinking of getting some more reserves in as we head through the course of the season. I think those are going to be planned to be open around early to mid-August. If you're watching and thinking, hey, I'd love to come join this league and I want to race where these girls race, absolutely, come get involved. Keep an eye on our social media, which is at W1 Series, and all the information that you'll need to know will be posted on there, or come join the Discord. It's a very lovely place to hang out. Everybody's very friendly, I promise you that, and the links are in the chats below. Victoria does a very good job, even if she's a volunteer, but we wouldn't be able to do this without her. She's probably one of the people that keeps W1 running the most.
Couldn't agree more. All the staff that are involved in the W1 operation deserve every single level of plaudit possible, because they are excellent, excellent people. Keep the show slick, smooth like butter. You love to see it. That's why we get to do all of this lovely stuff every single week, and that's all the fun. Speaking of fun, strategy. Although, to be fair, we don't know if there's going to be rain in the race. No. That's going to be a critical element. But if it's dry, easy one stop, it should be. I think it's less about tyre wear, though, more about awareness. Day in Imola. I think we've had a brief discussion off broadcast before we started this. And the main thing about Imola is awareness, because it is very easy to overspend your electrical energy tokens. So people lifting and coasting or being overzealous, the actual closing speeds and sort of judging that, I think is going to be very, very tricky to handle. Just got to have a bit of awareness, a bit of a high alert situation to them, because otherwise we're going to see safety cars, and maybe more than one. So just proceed with an air of caution. That's all I ask.
There's a lot of places on this circuit, as you so rightly mentioned, that are heavy opportunities for lifting and coasting into each and every one of the 3 chicanes that we have on this circuit. We've got the likes of Tosa as well, and as you head into the 2 Ravazzas, of course, Aqua Minerale as well. If you combine that with Ravazza, 2 very steep downhill sections where you can recharge as much battery as realistically you can try and afford to. Through Piratella, we'll probably see them flat out, but again, we have seen drivers lifting there through the course of their qualifying lap, so literally anything can happen in this race. We are not to know, but I have good news. I bring good news to all of you who are watching. If I jump across to this scene, it is dry. It is a lovely sunny day in southern Italy, and I'm sure the guys back from TRT, Tassam Restech, who of course have 2 of their drivers, of course, Zara Shastavari and Regan Boylan, their representatives, will be very happy with the weather that is on display at the moment.
Absolutely right. Zara and Regan, but also Carlotta Marchi. Home race, Ferrari's home race, RB's home race. There's a lot
Jazz's
of home
race
going on. Jazz's home race in the Audi car as well. It's brilliant. We've got so many happy homecomings at Emilia Romagna. D. Kimmy says something turn 1 lap 1 way. It did in another series gone by. I'd rather not talk about it.
If something happens in turn 1, I'd be impressed, because it's just flat out right-hander.
Yeah, no, exactly. If you mean turn 2, I've got PTSD, but we'll ignore that. Adore Imola. I'm not biased, I promise, but equally what I love, look at the graphics. Venturi, yes. I tip my hat off to you. It's amazing. I've missed this graphics package on track, and it's beautiful.
It is absolutely stunning. They have cooked on all of the sponsor boards that you see on screen. I'll pull it up at full screen so you get a proper view. Every single sponsor board in the game has been changed for W1 Sim Series. You'll see it on the timing tower on the left-hand side. All of the breaker marker boards, anything that can be changed has been changed. The guys over at Venturi have been absolutely fantastic about each and every bit of it, to a point where it just looks so beautiful. I didn't want to take it off for other broadcasts I've had to do this week, but it just looks so good.
It does. What a job they've done with it, honestly. Super, super graphics. And equally, what we're going to have, speaking of super, is super light cars. We're not far away from the race start, but everyone, I suspect, is going to be on minimum fuel with the amount of lift and coast they do. Fuel saving, trust me, ain't going to be an issue.
Now, a few drivers have done, well, mentioned they've done kind of race simulations to a certain degree. They have seen just how much fuel you're able to save over the course of, I think, just about 10 laps or something. It was about 3 or 4 laps in terms of fuel. But here we go then. We'll get the answer to who manages the fuel the best. 5 red lights here at Imola for W1 Sim Series. The lights go out and we go racing. And it's down towards turn 2. Emma Clay with a good pull away. Lee Woodward will immediately start the chase. As virtual safety car deployed already, as Vanessa Hostetler slow off the line along with Angel Kirby in towards the opening few corners. Catherine Thielking gets a 10-second penalty for an early collision, but we have got that virtual safety car to start us off here. This is going to be almost a race reset. We won't have that turn 1 carnage that we were expecting, but the opportunity still to run arises.
Plummeting down the pecking order is Angel Kirby. Heartbreak for the Haas driver. Great start from Emma Clay, though. Starting from P1, you're on the slight kink. You've got to sort of jink the car right to get the traction. She did an incredible job there, as you see a cacophony of cars just swarming around the back of the Ferrari. But that is the perfect start at one of the home tracks for the Ferrari Massive.
We'll see how this goes. Of course, normally you wouldn't see the virtual safety car come out IRL. They would have dealt with the issue with the car, but thankfully all 20 cars have got going. That's the minimal expectation that we like. A Stark Loki, that's Vanessa Hostetler on the back of the main pack, so we will see that virtual safety car hopefully allow us to go green by the end of this lap, as Charlotte Perkins again has some issues with connection, but nothing too major. They hopefully will be able to get back in towards the session. It's Emma Clay that now can charge down towards the Ravazzas, but look at this. Esme Chambers, Courtney Woodward napping. Can they catch Emma Clay napping? No, not this time. They'll have to be patient in towards the second Ravazza. That's turn 18. Emma Clay will have led a lap, but she knows she's under pressure here from Esme Chambers as they run down towards turn 2. She sets the fastest lap, but the 4 cars as they try and run forward, we don't get a view of it. Esme Chambers tries to the right-hand side, blocked off by Clay. Door slammed in her face, and Clay holds off as they run through Tamburello.
Bit wide through turn number 1, though. Esme Chambers trying to set it up, can't quite do it. Lee Woodward is going to pile on the pressure, on board with the McLaren, against the green machine up ahead. You can see how much curves you can slaughter, and maybe a move into Tosa. You saw the closing speed. That's what everybody's going to have to be very careful of, though. The closing speed. It's very easy to get caught out by them. Top 4 trying to escape. Regan in P5 off the start. Miss Nutrix with a scorcher up to P6. Well done to Miss Nutrix. Great start from them. Magin P7, but the front 4 separated by an A4 piece of paper comparatively. Esme just losing touch with Emma Clay a tiny bit, whose plan is just to escape, but Lee Woodward is going to go through at the Variante Alta. McLaren driver's done it. Through they go, going wide for good measure at the exit. Emma Clay given another reprieve. That's exactly what Esme did not want. That's compromised her run. And so Alexis Mason shows the nose, tries to force the Aston into a mistake. Not going to happen on this occasion.
When we talk about Madge for a second, started down in 12, finds herself in 6th at the moment. But the battle for the lead has been so thrilling. It's been one that's gone somewhat under the radar. They've made up 6 positions in just 2 laps. So whatever is in that Alpine is looking absolutely incredible. Miss Nutrix gets the move past through turn 1 and in towards turn 2. The braking's over Tamburello. The Ferrari wanting to try and fight back here. Started in 6th in her own right. Sorry, 9th in her own right. So now finds herself in 6th and wanting to peel through the order. Just behind them, they've got Catherine Omerod and Catherine Thielking trying to join them for company as well. So lots of battles starting to emerge here, as that was potentially Madge looking for a way down the inside. I stand corrected. That's Catherine Omerod who wanted to try and go for a move, as both Catherine's further back battle. Thielking gets the better of Omerod, but in towards Piratella. It's still going to be Nutrix, followed by Madge, followed by Thielking, and followed by Omerod. Here comes Thielking down the inside through Aqua Minerale. What a send by the Cadillac car. Caught Madge napping and finds her way up towards 7th place.
locked on and homed in. The red mist descending on the championship lead has got front wing damage on the right-hand side as well. So even more remarkable the progress that they're making, but it's very much a damage limitation situation at the moment for the American in the American team. Through they go into P6. Won't have the overtake. Actually, no, they might have gone a bit later. I think they should still have the overtake. But damage limitation, still have the 10-second penalty looming over their head. Plenty of battery to burn, that shouldn't be an issue. Alexis Mason and Esme Chambers are interlocked in combat for P3 on the road. Esme Chambers fends off the massive Mercedes attack, but it's not going to happen for Alexis Mason. They head into the Villeneuve chicane. Look at that helicopter shot. Angel Kirby's progress is going well. From second to last is now 12th place, so well done to the Haas driver. Alexis Mason, though, just having to bide their time a little bit here.
Some absolutely eclectic overtakes we've seen so far. We're only on lap 4. There's 32 of them in total that we are going to have to work our way through here in Imola. And like you said, the front 4 starting to make a breakaway. Regan Boylan stuck in somewhat of no man's land. She's got 2 seconds, so the car's in front, about 2 seconds and some change to Catherine Thiel-King behind. We've got Catherine Omerod right on the rear of Madge as well, so they're all battling for 6th place. Thiel-King, Nutrix, Madge and Omerod as well. The 6th through 9th with Heather then trying to fend off Sarah Harley. That's Cutie Bunny in 11th place for a little more chop and change further back. But Carlotta Markey right on the rear of Lainey Milliken for 14th place. They're joined by Lily Browning as well further back. And you can see this battle here as it starts to emerge. Madge now sends a move down the inside of Omerod. Went deep in towards the first Ravata, but still trying to hang it around the outside. The V-Cup fends her off once again, though, as Omerod does the best to try and hold the Alpine at bay. The straight line speed, though, up at the front. Emma Clay could try and lose out here, but Lee Woodward couldn't get enough speed to find the move through Tamburello corner. Emma Clay holds on by the clutches. The McLaren once again looks for it, but no, the Villeneuve chicane came just too soon for the Papaya pilot.
Seeing some tentativeness on the curbs early doors. Of course, you don't want track limits, but there is still a lot of potential to extract from this track. Lee Woodward finding the best of it. Crucially, Lee Woodward as well on the hard compound tyres. Emma Clay, I think, on the yellow banded mediums in comparison. And, well, Lee Woodward's tyres at this point are actually going to have the ascendancy. Having done race practice around Imola myself, the rear tyres on the mediums are not happy. At about the end of this lap, you reach that first cliff, and the rears just want to kick the car out at every braking zone, into this chicane in particular. The rear end so unhappy with the way that the car is poised. So you've just got to play it a little bit careful. Again, look at the exit that Lee Woodward gets, visually closing in and reeling in the Ferrari up ahead. But still is going to bide their time, wait for the tyres to burn themselves out, keep piling on the pressure. Persistence will pay off. The only driver to start on the hards as well. Brave and bold from the Season 1 champion.
Oh, but it's working. The overtake mode now in Woodward's favour as they run through turn 1. They'll look to try and go side by side here in towards the Tamburello chicane. She's alongside, she's ahead. Lee Woodward takes the lead of the Imola Grand Prix here in W1 Sim Series. Emma Clay, for the first time this race, will have to settle for second best. It's Catherine Thiel-King further back that gets the better of Regan Boylan as well, so breaks that gap between 6th and 7th. And finds her way closer, but still 5 seconds off the back of our leading train. And this could invite the likes of Nutrix, Omerod, Madge, maybe even Heather to come join this fight up for 5th place so far. But Regan Boylan's still hanging on to 6th place from where she went started.
Yeah, good pace from Regan, considering no practice. She's doing admirably well. Emma Clay, at this point, it's just fighting to stay in the overtake range of Lee Woodward. As long as they have the surplus of electricity, all will be good. Miss Nutrix loses a place to Catherine Ormerod. Down to P8 goes the Ferrari. Ormerod up into P7. Heather is hanging on to a top 10 at the moment. Excellent work from Heather, who I would say has got 3 seconds and some change. The match up ahead is very, very wide. Goes Lainey Milligan, I think that is. Spears it off into the gravel. No physical damage, just emotional.
A little bit of contact and a little bit of unnerving. You said how much those tyres just want to drop off a cliff, and I think we're starting to see that. Just a reminder, of course, everybody, bar Lee Woodward, starting on a set of the medium compounded tyres. Here comes Alexis Mason, getting the better of Esme Chambers in towards Tamburello chicane, and the Aston Martin not done with it quite yet. Catherine Thiel-King further back as well, having to fend off Regan Boylan, who's really got to be in her bonnet this afternoon, wanting to try and get the move made and hold on to the 5th place. She knows the penalty will go in her favour at race end, but as it stands, she wants that position on track, and she's not letting it go lightly.
Absolutely not. Regan Boylan with some resilience. with a big battle to uphold as up to 4th place Esme Chambers we survey. These two, Alexis Mason and Esme, losing touch almost with Lee Woodward and Emma Clay. There they go, just on the bottom left of your picture, zipping through mineral water for the 7th time this race. Season 1 champion. Now through the Variante Alta. Again, just playing it tentative with the curbs. Not that second one, though. That was plenty chopped. Fair play. But still, leaving plenty of time on the table. You're driving at about 95% for a lot of Imola. It's when you need that extra 5%, when you're doing things like an undercut, when you're pushing out of the pits, that's when you can really activate the afterburners. Emma Clay keeping nice and close on this occasion, though.
Keep an eye on the speed on Lee Woodward here. They'll clips and a crest 200 miles an hour down the straight towards turn 2 of Tamburello. Emma Clay will have to be doing at least 205 and a drop of by about 15 miles an hour as they start to lift and coast in towards Tamburello, which is a massive drop in speed. Yellow flag further back. Lauren Nodding has found the wall at the exit of Variante Alta. That's just as you make your way out of Sosa Corner, out of Aqua Minerale. No safety cars being called as they try and get the Williams car nodding on again, and it looks like they've sustained minimal, if any, damage car. So a bit of a miracle here for Team Williams.
Quite a miracle indeed, as there's Catherine Ormerod going through on Regan Boylan up to P6. Good progress from the V-Carb driver, Miss Nutrix, looking to pick the pocket of the Audi, as we have another penalty just dished in. Jazz in the Audi at their home race gets a 3-second time penalty, 4 track limits, the first of track limits, and definitely won't be the last. A quarter of the way through this race, and on board at Aqua Minerale is Miss Nutrix. Wide goes Regan Boylan, taking a bit too much speed through the apex. That will invite the Ferrari in, but you can see immediately the impetus, the knowledge shifts towards lift and coast. That's the aim of the game on this lap. Towards the end of the lap we go. Another yellow flag. It's Zara Shah-Savari. That's gone off towards the end of Tamburello and the Villeneuve chicane. She carries on fine. A bit of a wobble in synchronicity from both Regan and Miss Nutrix going through the Ravazza corners. So yet more drivers struggling on the mediums. Emma Clay's put those gremlins to bed. She's hounding Lee Woodward for P1.
She absolutely is, looking close up at the front, and Emma Clay knows this battle's not over. We watch on board with the rear of Regan Boylan. You can see just how close Miss Nutrix is getting to that Audi as they make their way through the opening chicane of Tamburello and down towards Villeneuve. The Ferrari really starting to put pressure on its German counterparts, and in towards Sosa, one of the heaviest braking zones on this circuit. They try and get the car slowed down, and still on board with the Sauber, or not the Sauber, the Audi, my apologies, that's an old throwback. Gets the straight line mode open up towards Piratella and does get them, well, holds on to P7 in totality.
Two that gave us a show-stopping spectacle at Silverstone. Gonna lock horns once again here in the region of Emilia-Romagna. Again, big snap, huge slide out of Variante Alta. The rear tyres at this point screaming. They're second-hand, in fact, so second-hand. They pass so many hands. How are they not diseased? Lee Woodward through Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2. These two have dropped Alexis Mason and Esme Chambers. Critical for their progress in this race, not least so Emma Clay. Lee Woodward's hard tyres grow stronger and stronger into the double figures of lap times. Regan Boylan goes past Catherine Ormerod, who's gone off, I think, at the exit of the second Ravazza. Yes, there she is, bulldozing her way through the gravel, regains the track, and actually goes off the racing line. What has happened to Catherine Ormerod?
That looks like an equipment failure. I think they're just trying to see. You can see the jerky inputs they were having. I think if that is going to be a technical or a hardware issue, that could be not game over for Catherine Ormerod, but certainly not the way they like to see this race go out. Miss Nutrix has got past Regan Boylan, who I think in herself has had an incident as they made their way through Tamburello corner. The Audi, who was doing so well for this afternoon and running on so minimal practice, finds one of the hardest chicanes on the F1 calendar and finds the car pointing in the incorrect direction, but still running in the top 10, so still props for that one. There's lots to look forward to. It's still only, well, less than a third of the way through this race, so a lot still can happen, and especially Imola's a tough track if you don't have an opportunity to practice through the week.
Critically no damage as well. I assume just turned the boost on a tiny bit too early at the third section of the Tamburello chicane. Easy to do. The rear tyres, though, scream for resuscitation, and Regan Boylan pays the price on that occasion. The leaders sweeping through the second Ravazza for the 10th time this race. Madge gets past Miss Nutrix. Great progress from Madman Madge into P6 on the road. Goes the Alpine driver as Lee Woodward still leads Emma Clay and is desperately trying to escape out of that overtake range, the surplus of electrical energy. Lee doesn't want to dish that out anymore, make no mistake. But there's only so much that they can do. Emma Clay, putting on some brilliant race pace, has got all the answers at the moment.
So far, every answer thrown at her, or every question thrown at her, she has an answer to. We see Catherine Ormrod getting the better of Sarah Hardy, who is the first in towards the pits for the afternoon, taking those hard tyres, 11 laps then. And we'll want to take a set of hard compound tyres right until the very end, if they're able to do so. The Alpine pit garage, slightly further down the order than she would have wished, but changes going on in that car, and hard tyres being equipped on towards that blue and pink Alpine, and running down towards the line, where I believe we have got a very long, slow, drag down towards the final exit of the pits. It's a very long pit exit here in Imola, isn't it, Carl? It's one that catches you out, especially if you are haven't done your research. I think we might have lost Carl, everybody. So bear with us as we make our way through. Lee Woodward still leads. It's Emma Clay, of course, that still is in second place. It's Alexis Mason in third, and lots of cars looking to try and battle. Miss Nutrix there, not far off the back of everybody else. It's 6/10 between herself and Madge, just ahead of her. I think have we got Carl back? Have we got Carl?
We do.
Hello.
Of course I'm here. I'm back in the building. Hello. Lee Woodward's dropped Emma Clay outside of a second. Well done yourself. That's a good effort. But, as well, actually, Jay Matthews in Twitch has quite rightly stolen my thunder. And that is a question of, when are the drivers going to pull the pit lane trigger? Because I would suspect it to be the end of this lap or the next lap. It's an easy one stop to do, as Catherine Ormrod pulls it even earlier. Goes on at the end of lap number 11 onto a set of the hard compound tyres, and that will be the one stop to take her to the end of the race. Tyre wear, of course, a lot less due to the lift and coast. Emma Clay dropping time every single apex, 1.5 seconds now the gap, and it's only a matter of time before she bails off those mediums and takes the hards to the end.
Surely if you're going to do it, you do it now. You take the overtake opportunity, unless they could just burn enough. I think they have just burnt enough to get within that overtake mode in towards the next lap. But I think the thinking is, when you lose that, you have to take it next time around and get back into the back. But she's taking it this time. Out of Ravazza 2, in towards pit road, locking up the tyres as she does so, but successfully gets that Scuderia Ferrari car slowed down enough to meet the pit limit threshold. Alexis Mason joins her in the pits on its hard tyres, going on both Clay and I would assume Mason's car behind as well. It absolutely is. Hard tyres onto both of their cars. And any early predictions where they're going to try and come out of pit road, I would be on the assumption it might just be ahead of Regan Boylan in 10th. That would be my early guess, if she can get the throttle down quick enough.
Looks to be the case. Towards the pit exit line they go. Speed limiter off. Regan Boylan does get out ahead of Emma Clay, of course, yet to stop in this race, but the Ferrari driver will become the provisional leader courtesy of this undercut. We then find out if Lee Woodward can hold the mediums to the end and how much pace they can extract out of the car. It's all happening as we have a yellow flag. Again, it's a Williams that's off the road. Again, Lauren nodding, head is shaking, off into the grass, a spot of lawn mowing, but no harm done. She carries on her merry way once again, and again, no damage. Excellent stuff. Lee Woodward leads by 6.7 seconds. Children, don't you dare. Esme Chambers in P2. I imagine will box at the end of this lap because he can't really not respond. The mediums are well past their best. You've surely got to pull the trigger now.
Absolutely does so. Milligan and Nodding all into pit road. The likes of Ormrod, Sarah Hardy as well. They have all made their venture into pit road. That's Emma Clay getting the better of Regan Boylan as they made their way out of Aqua Minerale and through Variante Alta and down towards the two Ravazzas once again. Next up will be Heather, just in front of her. Catherine Thielke also making a trip to see the mechanics, as is Madge. So third and fourth on track so far, peeling into pit road. Heather joins them, so leaves the track unencumbered for Emma Clay to come through, and Claymore will be third place on circuit with Esme Chambers still yet to pit here this afternoon. And of course Lee Woodward, the only driver that started on the hard compounded tyre, so will naturally be looking to go long compared to every other driver on this field.
History between Emma Clay and Heather, who has just peeled into the pit lane. For those of you that know, you will know last week at Canada exactly what happened. And, well, Heather's call was the ambulance, but not for me. She was going to have some stern words. Those words have not happened, of course. They carry on their merry way because we're W1 and it's a positive atmosphere. As Angel Kirby slaloms round the outside of Miss Nutrix. That is a delightful little move. from the Haas driver, who was down and out for the count on lap number 1, has risen from their ruins, rebuilt the foundations, and is now sitting firmly in the top 10. Thielking, after serving that 10-second time penalty, and I believe also fixing the damage, down in P14. And what a damage limitation job this is going to have to be.
Looking that way at the moment, but they have got Catherine Omerod just in front of them. Of course, they'll be able to use them for a little bit of slipstream, a little bit of overtake mode, that they do have the detection point just as they make their way out of the second, or sorry, into the second revat. So it's a bit of a complicated one, very similar to the overtake or DRS detection of days of old that came at the very same point. It was Emma Clay that had the fastest lap of the race. It's now taken by Alexis Mason. Here comes Thielking trying to send a move down the inside, or around the outside should I say, as they make their way through the outer chicane. Gets the better of Omerod, and in front of her, that's Regan Poylan getting past Vanessa Hostetler. Here comes Thielking, here comes Omerod as well. So the Haas car dropping not 1, not 2, but 3 positions, as we see the second Audi of Jazz Luna making her way into pit road.
It's Vanessa Hostetler dodging out of the way, making sure she didn't interfere with the racing action, which is fair play. Into the pit lane goes the Haas driver, Death Not Jazz and Stark Loki, pulling the pin at the same time, burdened for glorious purpose. As we're on lap 15, Madge has, I believe, boxed and is doing an incredible job. 6th place with what has been a recovery ever since qualifying didn't quite go their way. But boy, has this gone their way. 6th place, trying to catch up to Charlotte Perkins, who I believe has managed to regain control of the Silver Arrows car, which is great news. As into the pits comes Esme Chambers, finally, after doing the fulcrum distance. Fair play, extended those mediums as much as possible, but the undercut is gonna hurt.
I'll just do some mental maths here, Carl. Charlotte Perkins has yet to pit. Esme Chambers is only just pitting. Madge has a chance here, potentially of gaining maybe up to 5th, not necessarily enough to jump up to 3rd, with Chambers just coming out of the pits.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That'd be a heck of a result for the Alpine. Well, fair play. Here comes the Blue Blur onto the start of their lap number 16 of this race. Gap at the front. Keep a close eye on it. 25 seconds between Lee Woodward and Emma Clay. Expect Lee Woodward to peel into the pit lane. End of maybe lap 18 to lap 20 is my guess. Might want to extend it out a bit more, but look at that for proper racing craft. No cords are given, millimetres separating the machines, but Angel Kirby with an outstanding outside move on Madge in the Alpine. The battle for P5 just got a bit spicier.
Can I just point out that's the second time in 3 laps Angel Kirby has pulled that exact same move round the outside of Tamborelli. Yellow flags fly in that 2nd and 3rd sector. I think we have got one of the Cadillacs off. That's not Curious Fire. Is that Catherine Thielking? Who's the white car? Haskar. Is that Vanessa Hostetler?
Yeah,
it is Vanessa Hostetler.
It's Vanessa. Okay, Vanessa Hostetler, no damage and is well out of the way of the racing line. Shouldn't be a safety car, which is good news. We'll regain the track, just aiming to rejoin as safely as possible. And rejoin safely, or safely rejoin, they do. I think it looks like bail into the pit lane. Something must have happened if they're going so gingerly in. Yes, front wing damage as well. Just to add to the burden that they've had to face. Into the pits comes the Haas driver to no doubt fix up the damage, but not throwing in the towel just yet, which is great to see.
Absolutely what we love to see, and what we, I think, really try to encourage inside of W1, because the race is never over. Points all the way up to the top 15, of course, so all it takes is a couple of crashes for you to find yourself back into those points-paying positions. Catherine Thielking now setting the fastest lap of the race. It's a 1:18.125 for the Cadillac driver, who stands in 10th place at the moment, so has the suitability to try and take that fastest lap point. Of course, the top 15, we have to be in the point-scoring position, should we say, to take away that fastest lap point of the afternoon. It's Catherine Thielking that gets the better of Heather as they make their way through the Villeneuve chicane down towards Tosa, the hairpin on the circuit. They'll get the straight line mode open, and I think a fairly textbook overtake for the American, making her way up towards 9th. Esme Chambers with a 3-second penalty to her name, but Carl, very interesting here. The top 3, all remaining penalty-free, but all of them on 2 warnings as it stands.
Who dares to get the stormy cloud of the stewards first? Roll up the action. Will it be this driver, Alexis Mason, pole sitter, last race at the Canadian Grand Prix, race winner in the social races pre-season? Will it be Emma Clay, race winner last time out at Canada, hoping to bring the Maranello Massive onto the top step to fly the Ferrari flag oh so high? Or will it be race leader Lee Woodward on the hard compound tyres, yet to pull the pit lane trigger in their own right? But once they get those mediums on, arguably they have the most to lose in terms of track limits penalties, because they're going to be pushing to make up the deficit, to make the gap. So when their tyres start to drop off, they know that they're safe and in the clear.
Absolutely, we're seeing it's V-Carb versus V-Carb here. It's Red Bull versus V-Carb. As Lily Browning trying to get the better of Carlotta Marchi. They've got Jazz Luna for company just behind the yellow flag. I think that was Jazz Luna who had a bit of a whoopsie through the second Ravassa, but nothing to write home about on this occasion. And Lily Browning making their way down towards through the opening corner and down towards Tamburello chicane. All of them using the straight line mode. No need to be within a second of the car in front to activate the straight line mode within the 2026 regulations. And Vanessa Hostetler picking up a 3-second penalty, the first for her of the afternoon, down in 20th place. But Browning looking like she's on the prowl here, trying to get on the back of Carlotta Marchi at her home Grand Prix.
Yeah, Lily Browning putting up the resistance, posing the question. Carlotta Marchi with the answers, of course, bolstered by the hometown support. And that's going to propel the V-Carb onto higher places. Lily won't give this up, though. Unforward through Piratella. Easy to get a warning on the outside of the corner. Not in this case, though. Here's where it becomes even easier, though. Mineral water. And very close indeed. Harpooning their way up towards the RB driver as Regan Boylan now gets a 3-second time penalty. Currently sitting in P12 as finally into the pits goes Charlotte Perkins, and Lily Browning having to take evasive action over the grass at Variante Alta because that got very close for comfort.
It did indeed, not exactly the way she'd want to see that overtake formed, and luckily made the right call, because at the end of the day, if you manage to bail out of a move, that is exactly how you should do it. Took to the runoff area, no one was harmed in that move, apart from a little bit of talent, as Lando Norris would say, as they make their way through now in towards Aqua Minerale, or as Carl likes to call it, mineral water, for the 20th time in this Grand Prix, and Lee Woodward pulls that trigger to make their first pit stop of the afternoon.
Few seconds gained by Emma Clay. We'll see where Lee Woodward peels out in retrospect. They'd like to be out ahead of Alexis Mason. That is the ultimate aim, but I don't think it's going to quite happen in that vein. No, through goes the Mercedes. So progress just became a little bit trickier for the McLaren, but those mediums are going to be oh so fast. Rocket ships strapped at all four corners of the McLaren machine, and we'll see the Season 1 champion get to work.
It's game on. Jarno Opmeer's favourite strategy that we've seen so many times before in PSGL PCF1, where he would start on the harder compound of tyre, like to go softer as the race went on. He traditionally went from the hards to the mediums and absolutely flew in the second half of the race. It was such a favoured strategy that we would joke about him doing it each and every week, and it's something that Lee Woodward has started to pick up over the course of this season. They've had a tremendous drive on the hard compound of tyres early doors here in Imola, and now just has to make the mediums work for the opening 6 laps and probably just a little bit more. They'll dispatch of Alexis Mason in towards the Variante Alta, and that didn't look like much of a battle at all from Alexis Mason. Pulled out to the offside, allowed Lee Woodward through, and I wonder if that's Alexis's way of going, I know this isn't my fight. I'm here for P3 and to hold P3. If Lee Woodward goes to attack Emma, that's going to help me in the long run.
Yeah, I was going to say, opportunity presents itself for the Mercedes driver. If Lee Woodward can just help propel Alexis Mason along a little bit, she won't say no to that invitation. Just be hoisted a little bit closer to the race leader and just be there waiting in the wings if things do end up going wrong. But we'll see immediately the mediums are just on another realm, fresh out of the blankets, which they don't have now because they don't exist. But the point is, that would be the idea. Through the Villeneuve chicane goes Lee Woodward. Gap is already over a second to the Mercedes driver. Is going to save some battery, I have no doubt, into Tosa corner and then just blast the afterburners, gaining nearly half a second just through Tosa corner. They're going to catch up in no time at all, but catching is one thing, passing is another, and more interestingly as well, Thielking could be forecast for P5. She's within a second of Miss Nutrix, and that's only within a few laps.
It's looking very interesting up and down the field, and to absolutely nobody's shock, it was a purple first sector for Lee Woodward. Only a personal best in the second, though, so not finding the greatest amount of form as they made their way through Aqua Minerale. We'll see how the third and final sector goes. It was a 1:17.5, fastest lap last time around for Charlotte Perkins on a set of the hard compounder tyres, so you would expect Lee Woodward to be able to top that as they make their way through, and the closing distance they've had up to Emma Clay has looked rather unbelievable. Catherine Thielking trying to get on the back of Miss Nutrix, and there we go. Lee Woodward sets the fastest lap of the race so far, only by a tenth and some change, so not as convincing as maybe we were expecting to see it. But the Cadillac's still on the back of the Scuderia Ferrari here. Madge equally on the back of Angel Kirby in front, and might have an opening opportunity down towards the first sector. To keep you all updated as well, Lee Woodward 2.2 seconds quicker last time around than Emma Clay. Here comes Madge though, looking for an opening move past Angel Kirby. She goes back in towards the slipstream, down towards the Tamburello chicane, now moves to the inside, looks for it deep, doesn't go for it, does not commit, which is probably the sensible thing to do. Theo King, on the other hand, does go for the move past Miss Nutrix, finds her way up to 7th place.
Theo King's recovery going extremely, after all of the shock at the start of the race, just got her head down. Spoke to her about mentality last week, got the podium, wasn't her best race in the known universe, but just said she's got to keep believing in herself, keep her head down, the results will come her way. She's just got to keep this aura of calmness about her every turn of the wheel, every press of the throttle and brake in the traction and the braking zones. That's exactly what she's exhibiting today, as through mineral water she goes for the 22nd time in her race towards Madge and Angel Kirby. Her pace is phenomenal, sort of a what could have been, but P5 is there's nothing to turn your snout up at.
Not in the slightest. Last time around, 7 tenths quicker than Madge, nearly 8.5 tenths quicker than Angel Kirby. So Theo King well and truly flying here at Imola this afternoon, putting in some good repetitions for Team Cadillac as they make their way through the second. Ravazza might open up an opportunity here to try and get past Madge and or Angel Kirby. One of the ghosted cars just in front of them as they pass by lap traffic. That is the Mercedes of Charlotte Perkin. That's a Rebel racing car of Lainey Milligan. They just find their way in towards the rest of this pack. Miss Nutrix now over a second off the back of Theo King as Stark Loki, that's Vanessa Hostetler, picks up another 3-second penalty, taking her total to 6 for the afternoon. We'll have a reminder of penalties in the next few moments. Jazz Luna gets the better of Lily Browning in towards Variante Alta. That's at the top of the hill, and for cresting it and running down towards the two Ravazzas once again, but Browning having a good race, down in 15th as it stands. Jazz Luna, again, a good place to make up for her, up to 14th.
Yeah, good move as well from the Audi. Excellent work. 14th place at the home venue. Madge, lovely helicopter shot, look at this. But then you hear boss music start to happen, and then you start panicking. Because Theo King is, there's no real surprise in what I'm about to say, very quick. And she's using her battery on unorthodox places. She's going for moves. I mean, it's a mark of the metal that she's made of this race. In terms of she's going for moves at the Villeneuve chicane, Variante Alta, the inside of Acqua Minerale, earlier on in this contest, is not going to make a move into the Ravazzas on this occasion, just biding their time. Don't have to make the move straight away. Patience, very much a virtue, but using every single millimetre of bitumen available to them. They head for their 24th tour of the track. Madge closes in on Angel Kirby.
It's looking close, up and down the field, and I wonder if Madge is going to go for the move here. We saw, I don't want to say half send a couple of laps ago, but that's probably the best way you can describe it. Look down the inside, reminded the Haas driver that she is in her mirrors, and once again we saw a very similar move from Madge this time around, as penalties being thrown out left, right and centre, both to Lainey Milligan and to Catherine Omerod as well. Here comes Catherine Theelkin getting in the mirrors of the Alpine in front for the first time in this race, wanting to try and just remind Madge that she is indeed there. She might try and send it as they crest up the hill towards Piratella. Does send it up the hill as they crest through Piratella. That is not a place you see a move done, but take a bow, Catherine Thielking. Caught Madge napping, finds herself in 6th place, and now has Angel Kirby to try and dispatch before starting onto lap 26.
Lap 1 was the tipping point. Loads of jeopardy, but guess what? It's a showstopper from Catherine Thielking. Regan Boylan's dispatched of Hevar as well in the battle for the top 10. Into 10th place goes the Audi with a penalty, though, still looming over their head. Thielking, one final target before the top 5 places. Angel Kirby, and they have got big old overtake mode through the final corner of Batsa 2. A brief yellow flag, I believe that was for Charlotte Perkins, but all good. Also a yellow flag for one of the Red Bulls. But battery to burn, slipstream to just hunker down into. Battery turned off for the Haas driver. Thielking also turns the battery off. Not going to go for the move, just going to size up the inside line. Compromise the Haas driver, and now we're going to boost out of turn number 3. Go for it at Villeneuve, and Angel Kirby knows this is not their fight. Thielking just thrusts on through.
Oh!
Off the burners activated, but a massive snap on the exit of Villeneuve. You sing their praises one moment, they plummet the next. She's going to have to do the hard work all over again.
Oh, heartbreak for Catherine Thielking, but keep an eye further afield. Angel Kirby still under pressure from Madge as well, who's benefited from that moment. But Catherine Thielking looks so impressive and has been so impressive over the course of this race so far, but it is not complete game over yet. Manages to recoup the car and keep it pointing in the correct direction, which is 9 times out of 10 what you need to do. Already sends it down the inside of Madge through Variante Alta. Here comes the Cadillac again. Play the Eagle sound because America is coming.
Ruthless, the championship leader on, not to use the phrase too much as a person in commentary corner, but she's on smoke this race. I can't really think of a better descriptor. Absolutely cutthroat. Every single corner, if there's an opportunity, you damn bet she's going to go for it. Lee Woodward's going to go for it as well. The battle for the lead closes in nearly within 1/10 of a second. Spotted the golden carrot of opportunity. Dangled at Piratella. It's going to have to bide their time, but look, the mediums are going to be past their best already. The rear tyres are going to start kicking out, so they've got to make this move as quickly as possible towards the Variante Alta. Emma says, don't you dare think about sending it up the inside. Lee Woodward says, okay, save the battery, look at the exit, now there could be a chance. Into the Revators again, just going to save the battery. Patience is a virtue with the 26 regulations, and once you build up the battery balance, you have enough expenditure to maybe have a return on investment, in this case, the race lead.
That you certainly do. On the run down towards turn 1 and through turn 1 they will run. It's Lee Woodward, 2.5 tenths and closing on the back of Emma Clay, burning as much battery as they can. Looks towards the inside of turns 2. Through they go. Lee Woodward takes the lead of the race away from Emma Clay, who's not convinced by that move, but tries to hang it round the outside through Tamburello corner. Doesn't so effectively. And in towards Villeneuve, it's Lee Woodward that still holds the race lead. But for half a second, half a thought, Emma Clay was doing everything she could to hold on to the race lead here this afternoon. But the battle's not done yet. The question will be, is how well has Lee Woodward looked after those tyres, and can Emma Clay do anything to scratch, claw or bite her way back into the lead of this race?
Superb, simply superb. Emma, I thought I was going to jump 10 feet out of my seat with a switchback at Tamburello from Emma Clay, who after this race looks to try and take the Drivers' Championship lead. Lee Woodward is also not that far away. So it's all going to get, once again, nice and condensed up at the top of the tree. Emma Clay, though, in a few laps' time, this could come back to her. She's just got to stay in that overtake range. Doesn't have a lot of battery to play with at the moment, but if she just keeps in that 1 second window, this could come back to her.
It's looking close as they make their way on towards lap 28. We've got 5 tours to go around here in Imola. And the Scuderia Ferrari driver looking rather racy. Fastest lap taken by Charlotte Perkins, down in 13th place, a 1:16.664 for the Mercedes outfit, and still Emma Clay right on the rear of Lee Woodward. Battle still happening further behind, of course. We've got Madge right on the rear of other drivers. Thielking has managed to dispatch both Angel Kirby and Madge while that was all happening as well. Slightly further back, so she finds herself in 5th place, albeit 18 seconds off the back of Esme Chambers. I think the question she will be asking is what could have been, should it not have been for that damage and the 10-second penalty as well, because by my maths, Carl, she'd be right on the rear of Esme Chambers, making her way through the majority of this race so far.
Completely concur on that one. I mean, it's a consistent result, if nothing else. Still remaining in the top 5 is the current championship leader in the Cadillac, but yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's a day to forget necessarily, because there's been many memorable moments in Thielking's camp in terms of the overtakes that she's made and how ruthless she has been. But that lap 1 incident just told the entire story for this race, very much what could have been. And then you have to look back to qualifying. If it hadn't been for that invalidation of the lap, maybe we wouldn't be even talking about this as an extension. So many hindsights and hypotheticals, but look at this. The hards are finding a new lease of life because the mediums are very unhappy.
192 miles an hour down towards Tamburello chicane. The Ferrari once again just itching ever closer to the McLaren that stands in front of her, but not finding enough speed and or opportunity to try and send a move past Lee Woodward. But I think, as you said earlier, it will be a question of how long can Emma Clay look after those tyres, because Lee Woodward has done 10 laps on the mediums so far. So they will be starting to find the crest point. They'll be right at their limit as they make their way towards the checkered flags. Of course, we've got 4 laps, including this one, to go over the course of this Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Down towards mineral water, as you so like to call it, and Emma Clay, again, just finding a little bit of time in each nook and cranny of this circuit, but are not enough over the course of a totality of one lap to find true form.
Still a way that Emma Clay wins this race. Track limits. Would have been banter if one of them contracted track limits there, but they didn't. But she still can win this because of pushing Lee Woodward to the limit. She's remaining in that range, piling on the pressure. Yes, Lee Woodward is a champion of the W1 Sim Series, but you've got to try and soak up that pressure, and it is not easy on a driver with such a fine vein of form as Emma Clay, who's going to get 2 podiums in a row as things stand. But she's not letting Lee Woodward get away that easily. The mediums are not going to be enjoying life, particularly the rear right tyre, which will be sliding about as we head into those slower corners. Tosa will be an example of that. So if Emma Clay can just pile on the pressure, get that rear end of the McLaren to kick out, track limits, puts her right back in the conversation of a certain race win.
2 warnings to both Lee Woodward and Emma Clay, and of course Alexis Mason as well, who now has fallen just a little bit further outside of our race winner picture, but she knew what her battle was entailing, and the way she let Lee Woodward go after that pit stop happened and allowed the Mercedes just to settle into a rhythm as more yellow flags fly. That's Lauren nodding at the exit of Aqua Minerale. Quite an easy place to drop the car, especially if you are still learning about the gears and the tracks and everything else that goes with it. Lee Woodward hoping for some slipstream by the looks of it as they make their way in towards Variante Alta, turns 14 and 15. As we head down towards the line, start the penultimate lap of racing here, Carl. You've got to ask the question of, if you're Emma Clay, what can you do differently in the final 2 laps here? Do you just wait it out until you head through Ravazza for the 31st time and then burn everything you've got into lap 32? Or do you try and push some boundaries here on the penultimate lap of racing?
Really feels like a similar conversation to what we had in qualifying, where it is literally going to come down to the wire. I think those mediums are going to fall off to a point where Emma Clay can really pile on the pressure. She's just got to remain close enough to spark the conversation of the overtake. Penultimate lap of the race, within half a second for a brief moment as they head through to the Villeneuve chicane. Emma Clay throwing caution to the wind. You can see how much of the curb she's taking at the Villeneuve chicane. A lovely aerial angle to give us the idea. Gets oh so close to pushing Lee Woodward through Tosa corner. Every time she does that, she compromises herself for the next exit. Piratella corner. Car complies nicely. Now it's all about this last sector. If she keeps close, there is a big chance.
Looking for 2 race wins in a row, of course, is Emma Clay. And they make their way out towards Variante Alta for the penultimate time. We'll watch on board with the overlay that you get to see on your screen, the throttle and the brake applications and how she's managing the battery, and every single time seems to be taking that curve with a little bit more aggression. It's got a great run as they run down towards the 2 Ravazzas, try to go early, but we're seeing overtake games being played. A little bit of a squeeze from both cars as they do come together. Emma Clay tried to hold that inside line. Lee Woodward did not want to let them go as quick as they wanted because they know whoever led onto this final lap would not have the opportunity to use overtake, and down towards turn 2 they'll run again. Tamburello corner comes a beckoning. Can Emma Clay dispatch Lee Woodward to go 2 for 2?
Oh, strange. She looked like she was caught in 2 minds whether to make a move into Ravazza 1. I was almost certain she was going to do it. They were well past the overtake detection zone. There was no problems there. See how the car's behaving beautifully for the Ferrari, getting them ever so close. Again, can hold the narrow line through Tosa because the rears aren't past their absolute best. But time's running out. Imola, notoriously difficult track to get an overtaking move done. Clay won't give this up. Cutthroat Clay all the way through to mineral water for the last time. But it's going to take something special from here. Can she do it?
It's going to be an almost perfect at Alta chicane for Emma Clay here. It has to be picture perfect, pixel perfect for Clay, and it is. It looks fantastic. The drive out of the corner, though, a little bit shaky. That's opened up the opportunity for Woodward, but here comes Emma Clay looking down towards Ravazza. She tries the outside line, looks for the switchback, does Clay, but Woodward parks it on the apex of not 1, not 2, and the continuation of a little bit of scrappage, but up towards the line to take victory in Imola. Lee Woodward wins the Italian Grand Prix. Clay gets 2 podiums in a row, but couldn't convert from lights to flag. Alexis Mason will come home in 3rd, with Esme Chambers finishing 4th. But Lee Woodward, what a result to hold off the pole sitter and last week's race winner.
the only driver on the alternate strategy. Fortune does favour the brave and the bold. Take a bow, Lee Woodward. Emma Clay, again, the pole position curse hits home in Season 2. Still, the pole sitter cannot convert into a race win after 3 races. 3 different winners in 3. Season 2 of W1 is returning rapturously. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Theo King's recovery to P5 as well. Take a bow. A brilliant job from the Cadillac. It's a dent into her championship margin and aspirations, but regardless, a great recovery nonetheless.
Must give a shout out as well to Miss Nutrix finishing 8th place, so 2 top 10s in a row for Ferrari. Regan Boylan finishing 10th as well with minimal practice to her name. We'll run through your complete grid order in a moment. Lily Browning as well picking up the final point on offer for the top 15. Catherine Theelking with a recovery drive to top all recovery drives. And you know, you talk about races where you just feel down and out, and surely that's what Theelking must have been thinking. But over the course of this race, she came back time and time and time again, never let anything keep her down. And that really is that champion's mentality. Lee Woodward, your race winner. The accolades go, well, notably to Charlotte Perkins here with all fastest lap, driver of the day and most overtakes. And Heather picking up the cleanest driver award here this afternoon at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. And just a reminder of your complete finishing order, it is Lee Woodward from Emma Clay and Alexis Mason as your top 3. It's Esme Chambers ahead of Catherine Theelking and Angel Kirby. Madge finishes 7th with Miss Nutrix finishing in 8th. Omerod and Boylan round out your top 10 with Heather, Perkins, Markey, Hardy, Browning, Luna, Hostella, Nodding, Shahsavari and Milligan. Your top 20 from this afternoon's race. And that just put my brain into overdrive trying to convert usernames to surnames. I made that really difficult on myself for some reason, but what a fascinating race that has been. It's been ecstatic from start to finish.
It really has. Bring back Imola, I think, is the only conclusion we can draw from this. It's clearly the best track on the calendar. You made a mistake, Formula 1. But, yeah, wow. 1 driver went brave and bold. Only 1 driver started on the hards. They won the race. I'm not saying anything, but statistics tell 100% conversion rate. That's all I'll say. Lee Wood, I mean, it's only a matter of time before Lee Woodward got her first win of the season, and in brilliant style as well. Got close in Canada. Clay's overall race pace overthrew that potential. Then it came down to strategy, and there's clearly been a lot of learning that's been done from Lee Woodward's side of things, and she did not put her foot wrong today.
No, absolutely not. And even right at the end there where we thought things might be just a little bit down and out, Emma Clay, I think, just had to get that drive out of Variante Alta, and she didn't. There was a little bit of sidestepping from the car as he tried to apply the power just that little bit too fast. But I think it's something she'll learn on, and we've seen that time and time again with Emma, where a mistake happens and she learns from it. She comes back next week stronger, which is absolutely the moral of the story that you want to see, you want to hear about as well. And of course, we have no race week next week, so they've got even more time to improve before we head over to Spain. But Carl, we've got 3 lovely ladies sat in the waiting room for us to have a chat to. How do I do this? Do I start with winner or start with P3? It's up to you.
Bring in the winner.
Let's bring in Lee Woodward then and have a chat with her. Lee, first and foremost, welcome in. Congratulations on your first win of the season. You must have felt a little bit hairy there right at the end with Emma Clay, who I must admit had a lot of pace there.
Yeah, she did. It was a bit scary. It felt like 2024 Imola, Lando and Max, but the other way around. It was a great battle. Really, really fun. Honestly, that's why I find it the most fun to battle with Emma out of everyone. She's just always clean. It's always fun, and we always just go for overtakes.
Let's talk about the strategy quickly as well. Obviously, you were the only driver to start on the hard compounded tyre, opted for the mediums right way through. What was going through your mind when you were sat on the grid, saw everybody else, all 19 other cars, had opted for the mediums? You were the single driver who went for the hards. What was going through your head at that point?
I thought a couple others started on hards.
No?
So I just thought, oh well. I thought Catherine Theelking started on hards, and I was like, well, she'll make up places. It's Catherine. And then when I saw she got a 10-second penalty, I was like, okay, maybe I'm on my own for a bit. And then sort of when I saw Emma pit a bit earlier than I thought she would, I thought, right, I need to extend this stint because clearly the tyres are dying off a bit quicker than I thought. So yeah, switched to mediums and just flat out till the end.
And just very quickly before I hand over to Carl as well, we've had the first 3 rounds of the calendar. We've got a break week next week. just sum up maybe the first 3 rounds in a couple of words. How have you found them so far?
It's been all right. Last week was a nice sort of redemption for Silverstone. Today really sort of fixed all my problems with the first couple of rounds, but I'm still not happy with the cars. I mean, I've been very vocal of my opinion of these cars, but it felt nice to sort of just push into the limit today on a track that battery wasn't as bad as tracks like Silverstone.
Lee, massive congratulations, goes without saying, first win of the season. Let's talk learnings, I think, is the big one I want to focus in on. Obviously, we've had 3 races now. You take your first race win of the season. What's been the biggest thing you've learned from week to week in W1? Because clearly there's a lot you've taken on board to get this race win today.
Yeah, it's been difficult. I mean, we go into tracks like Silverstone where battery is constantly empty. There's very rarely lifting and coasting into certain corners because you want to keep to the car ahead, and then Canada's the complete opposite. And I think this track was sort of a mix of both. It's very different to last season where you can't go into it the exact same every race, pretty much hoping like, okay, I know I'm not going to run out of battery unless I've done something wrong or I've overused it or whatever. With these, it is very much, I like to follow every lap at every corner. I want it to be the same amount of battery so that each lap stays the same. And it's very difficult to do that with these cars, and I've realised that doesn't work for me. I've got to completely change my driving style, battery usage, all of that, and it's difficult to learn it.
Of course, no, completely understood. That's brilliant. No further questions from me.
Absolutely. Well, once again, congratulations, your first win of the season. Who knows, maybe a renewed championship charge as we head into the first break week of the calendar. Best of luck for the rest of the season, and I'm sure it's not the last time we'll speak to you up in the commentary box.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lee Woodward, everybody. Race winner here from Imola. And we'll switch from one driver that got their first win of the season to another driver that got their first points of the season. Carl, we'll have a quick chat to Alexis Mason. Alexis, I think this season so far has been one that you'd rather forget, bar today. Not only your first points, but your first podium as well. As I realised I've gone in a complete wrong order. Emma was meant to be next, but sorry, Emma.
You know I was questioning that. Points, finally. I'm glad I don't have the record of more pole positions than points, because as usually I'm awful at quali, and getting pole last race really surprised me. But honestly, from when I've done open lobbies around Canada and practice, I wasn't surprised I was dropping the rear end. But finally today, some points on the board. I'm here talking to you two troublemakers.
Troublemakers is rather, I would say, offensive if it wasn't so true, but proceed.
Yes, it's good to be back. Miss speaking to you for the first 2 rounds.
It'd been nice to speak to you as well, Alexis. Of course, let's talk about the drive that you had right at the end there. You kind of followed the status quo for the most part. 12 laps on the mediums, 20 laps on a set of the hard compounded tyres. Finished about 8.5 seconds off the back of Emma right at the end. I saw when Lee made their stop, I don't want to say you let them through, but it was a very easy overtake from the McLaren. Was that just you deciding that wasn't your fight in the moment?
I let them through. Okay. I saw them coming out the pit a handy 1.5 seconds back. They're on fresh mediums. It's going to be too long, and there's on the complete off chance Emma and Lee crash, which is super unlikely. I could get a win, but it wasn't on today. Didn't have enough pace.
Carl, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Second troublemaker heading your way, Alexis. Congratulations. First points. First podium by extension. Not a bad way to kickstart the account. Let's talk battles briefly. First of all, battles a lot with Esme Chambers at the beginning of the race. Just thoughts and feelings. How did you find that? Fun times?
It was tough. Emma's a horrible track for overtaking, and with this new battery, it took me a while to get the hang of it, and even I know if I did it again now, I would still have trouble with the battery, because it's awful. I don't like the battery. Bring the old batteries back, please.
Very fair. Very, very fair. And I think that segues nicely into learnings. What's been the biggest learning over these 3 weeks, or something that you can take going forwards as we head through this season in terms of the 26 regulations?
All my practice I've been putting in is based on the handling of these cars, because for me, it's a really nice feel, but they tend to be very, very understeery. So it's adapting the setups, making sure they suit me, and trying just to figure out little nibbits of the setup and amendments that I need to make going into every race.
That's brilliant. No further questions from me.
Lovely. Well, nothing further from me as well, Alexis. Just a massive congratulations as we head into break week. I think you've got some well-deserved R&R amongst with the other drivers, and we look forward to welcoming you back in 2 weeks' time.
Cute.
Thank you, Alexis Mason, everybody. P3 over today's race at Emilia Romagna. Now, I probably should have done Emma next, but you know what? As Victoria said in the chat, it wouldn't have done the seamless flow. There was some method to the madness for the most part. Let's have a chat with Emma Clay. Emma, of course, finishing P2 overall. Couldn't quite get the victory here today. But Emma, talk us through maybe some emotions immediately after that race.
Yeah, honestly, I'm fairly pleased because going into the race, I wasn't that confident. I was literally working on the race setup like really late last night after the England game. Sad times. But yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those races where you just got to take the maximum that comes. Obviously, we could have won, but it's a really hard track to overtake when, you know, Lee's tyres were getting to the point where they were dying, but I think we still had pretty much the same performance, or if not similar. So it was just trying to, you know, just stay behind her, stay in the overtake. But unfortunately, did a good job with her defence. And yeah, not really too much to be happy about. I think I might be the championship leader now, if I'm not incorrect. Obviously, we need to wait until the official results come out. But yeah, not too bad.
One thing I did want to talk to you about just very quickly was the heading into the final lap. That was a little bit of cat and mouse between yourself and Lee heading into the two Ravazzas, the final few corners, where you almost wanted to half send it down the inside, then backed off Lee. You wasn't sure if to let you through or not. What was going on there? Was that you just waiting to see what the overtake mode kind of detection point was, or was there a half send in there?
I did want to kind of send it down there, but the problem is with it being downhill, you don't know if you're going to absolutely lock up and not live another day there. So I didn't want to send it too hard because obviously I could just ruin my race just trying to be greedy there and not get the points that we really wanted. But yeah, I did try to have a little look down there, but unfortunately my rears kind of had a bit of a moment, and then I just kind of like had a little quarter spin into Lee a little bit there. So a little bit of contact, but nothing too crazy.
Amazing. Carl, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Emma, congratulations. Another podium on the board. I believe I'm with you on the mathematical calculations. You are the championship leader, so congratulations. Well done. First things first, strategy. Basically, everyone went for medium hard. Was there ever any consideration of going hards mediums today?
There was a consideration. However, you know, the Imola being such a hard track to overtake, I thought, you know, stick on the mediums, pit lap 12, get that undercut and see what Lee can do. Well, anyone, you know, obviously I didn't have the inclination that it would be Lee, it could have been anyone. What they can do chasing me down. I mean, I think she came out of the pit lane behind Alexis, but unfortunately she just got by straight away. So that was a bit sad, but that's just the way of the game, unfortunately. But you know, hard medium did test it out, and it was a good strat, but obviously with the nature of the track, I just wanted to, you know, keep it cool and safe, I think.
For sure. No, I agree with that. And finally, we have a little bit of a break now before the Spanish Grand Prix.
Thank God.
I mean, it's clear to see that your pace is phenomenal. You don't need me to tell you that. Your pace is absolutely electric. But where do you go from here? How do you evolve next to then, you know, go from the Emma Clay of Imola to an Emma Clay that is even quicker? Like, what happens next?
Probably take a little bit of a break. I'm kind of in a bit of pain right now. I feel like my injury from season 1 is coming back, so gonna take some time and hope that goes away. But having a look at the next 2 rounds that we've got ahead of us, because obviously, you know, Barcelona is a track that people have raced on before in league racing, but Madrid is certainly not. People have experienced before, really, unless they've done it in a different league, and certainly not one that I've spent too much time on. I think my time trial lap on Madrid is very bad. So yeah, just a bit of a break and just having a look at those two tracks, really, and seeing if we can do something there.
I mean, look, you've got time. You've got time. Just please don't hurt yourself. Timmy Kettles, over to you.
I'll try. I'll try not what I did last season and just race through the pain, because that was not a good idea and it made it very bad. But yeah, we'll give it a go, and hopefully we can keep our streak as it is.
Well, Emma, hopefully we remain injury-free for the rest of the season, and please do take next week's break to get some proper R&R down here. Yeah. And as we do that, we wish you the absolute best of luck. We look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time.
Cheers, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma. Well, everybody, your podium sitters from Imola. A pleasure, as always, to speak to the three individuals. The first race win for Lee Woodward. Some first points for Alexis Mason. Oh, and I think some more fired-up Emma Clay will be coming your way in the next few weeks. But Carl, before we sign off and say goodbye, before the channel goes dark for a couple of weeks, why don't we have one more look at our calendar as we head over the next remaining 7 race weeks.
And oh boy, what a calendar it is! Chock full of historic venues, including Silverstone, Canada and Imola, where we've just been. And then Barcelona, thoroughbred, beautiful. And then we head over to the USA. We've got Texas. We've got Las Vegas. Tried and tested venues on the Formula 1 calendar. The Netherlands, Zandvoort, home of the Orange Army. Maybe an orange car winning. Who knows? Mexico is the penultimate round. And then the drivers are in for a treat, or possibly not a treat, because it's Jeddah for the final round. Let there be carnage.
One to certainly look forward to, and one for dates for your diary as well as we head through the course of the season. You can keep up to date with everything that is going on, the highs, the lows, and everything in between on our social media. All the links are at W1 Sim Series. There's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube if you're watching on there. If you're watching on Twitch, at W1 Sim Series, because someone stole our name that we're not too happy about. But we have got a couple of break weeks. So Carl, where can the lovely people find you on their break week?
I'll tell you where they can't find me. Eating electric eels in Emilia-Romagna. You won't find me there. But where you will find me is at my name, Carl Peranic, all one word. If you type that in, you'll probably find me there. Tom, pleasure sharing the box with you, mate. Where can the lovely people of an interweb find you? Well,
I'll tell you where they can't find me, and that's wrestling with waterproof toasters in the waterfront cafes of Whitby. I'm not there anymore. A few electric shocks, unfortunately, not all of them. Too high rated, but you can check me out at They Call Me TK on every single social media down below. And as our drivers do have a rest for the next week or so, and we head to Barcelona in 2 weeks' time, just remember, on Sunday, we're all Spanish. See you soon.
Just say run, and I will follow you